Hi, dealing with today's thought. You may have noticed, if you're a follower of this vlog, that I didn't do a thought yesterday, and the reason was because it was election day, and well, as you know, I record these vlogs the day before you see them, so it would have been, you saw a lot of things, people, talking heads on TV, talking earlier in the day, election day, how they expected the election to turn out and so on and so forth. But if I would have done the same thing, you wouldn't have seen the prediction or my thoughts until the day after the election, when we would know who won. So my plan was to wait for the results to come in and then do a late night vlog. But late night, or if necessary, say as happened last time, well, a lot of mail-in votes, we won't know for another week, whatever. But it ended up that we got a result last night, but it didn't come till 1 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, the final result, and I wasn't going to do a vlog at 2 o'clock in the morning. So here I am, day after, and just a couple of thoughts. I mean, everybody has been opining on it. The only one brief comment I would make, I was watching part of Morning Joe on MSNBC, Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski, and some guest panelists, and they're in denial. That will be my gist about why they lost. And if you ask me to, I'll go into more detail, but that's just, they have a problem. As somebody who said, the Democratic Party, they have to look at themselves and they have to examine what went wrong and how they would move forward. Now, the Harold Ford was on. I watched the coverage on Fox News because I like their coverage. And Harold Ford, he is a former Democrat representative, and he said, well, the Democratic Party has to move to the middle, but and that it's obvious. What he's missing is that a large part of, there are two sides to two paths, possible paths. They're at a fork in the road, and there are two ways they can go. And one way is, as Ford was saying, the Democratic Party has to move to the middle, which actually would be my recommendation. That's how Clinton won. There, as you can see, I've been around a while, and there was a time, and we may be back to that time, where Democratic presidents, however the Senate went, Democratic presidential candidates, Muskie, Mondale, you go right down the list, they could not win because the party was so liberal and to the left. Bill Clinton changed that. Bill Clinton and Joe Lieberman, they formed the, I forgot what they called it, but they called themselves New Democrats. They formed a committee, and Clinton moved to the center, and well, he acted, this is what Democrats do also, he claimed to move to the center. When he got elected, he moved very far to the left with Hillary Care, and he lost the House and the Senate for the first time in ages. The Republicans took control of the House, but he wised up and he moved to the center, and then worked with the Republicans, and I forget which State of the Union it was, which year, but he stood up, and the very first words out of his mouth were, the era of big government is over. But the Democrats since then, Obama did the same thing, put himself forth as a centrist, but when he got elected, he moved to the left too, just as Bill Clinton did. He lost the House, and I believe the Senate, I could be wrong on that, just as Clinton did, but he did not learn from his mistakes. He stayed the same, and the Democrats have been the same way. Biden, he is supposed to be Scranton Joe, Uncle Joe, Lunch Pail Joe, middle of the road centrist Joe. Obviously, he didn't govern that way. So I'm with Ford. He's right. The Democrats should move to the center, but there's another part of the Democrat Party that says, no, they were not progressive enough. They didn't move enough to the left. They weren't true enough to the principles of progressivism. They were wishy-washy, and that's why the Democrats lost. So you have these two competing forces, and it depends which one is going to dominate. And unfortunately, there are not a lot of, I don't know if there are any Harold Fords left on the Democratic side in the House or in the Senate for that reason. So we'll have to see which side wins, but I really think that the progressives, the far left faction, that they're the base of the Democratic Party now, and that it's going to be very hard for them to move to the center, and then I would say very hard for them to get elected, to win elections going forward. Not that they can't, but it's going to be, they're going to have a tougher road to hoe. And I had another thought on that, but my aging brain forgot. It'll probably come to me as I'm going along. But well, anyways, so I know what it was. The Senate, the Republicans, not only did Trump win, the Republicans now have control of the Senate, and we're waiting to see. There are still some undecided races out there to see whether they'll control the House. If they control the House, then they've got the trifecta, and Trump will be able to do what he wants. And what's more important, the Republicans right now, they have 52 seats. There's still some more seats out there. Now, what matters is if they get one more, they've already got the Senate, but if they get one more and have 53 seats, there are two very moderate Republican, and I would almost put, they say Rhino, Republican in name only, Democratic Republican senators, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, who screws them up when the Senate screws the Republicans up, screws the conservatives up when the Senate is closely divided. So you have, because especially on abortion, if a Republican president nominates Supreme Court justice, very hard for them, a conservative, a very conservative Supreme Court justice to get through, because they have to satisfy Collins and Murkowski on abortion and on other issues too. Maybe Obamacare, if you want to repeal Obamacare, which I would like them to do, or at least seriously reform it. So these two senators, but if the Republicans get one more seat, then or two more, and they could be on the way to getting that. If they have 54 seats, they don't need Murkowski and Collins anymore to pass truly conservative legislation. So that's something else to think about. But now let's get to the main meat of what I want to talk about. Now, as I often do, I talk about other things. When I have a subject in the title that's the lead story, it is not the one I necessarily will talk about first, or the only story. Okay, I get complaints about this. I'm telling you again. So here we are. As I say in the title, victory for Trump and vengeance for Biden. And you've already seen on MSNBC the liberal talking heads say, maybe we made a mistake forcing Joe Biden out. Maybe because we lost anyway, and maybe Joe Biden was a better candidate because Joe Biden was the only person ever to have beaten Donald Trump, and we threw him out. Now, I think he would have lost anyway, but the loss would have been honorable. That's my first thought on this, because it was a coup. It was a coup, no doubt about it. As I said in an earlier thought, it was looking like some of the scuttlebutt, which I believe was that Biden was being threatened with the 25th Amendment, that they would use the 25th Amendment to force him out, say he's too, senile, too frail. He cannot continue to perform the duties of the office. But for that to happen, well, you need a majority vote of the cabinet, and then there's a whole process you have to go through. It's not as simple as you think. But to get the process rolling, you also need the signature of the vice president, who is Kamala Harris. So, as I said in this earlier thought, the honorable thing would be, if they went that far, would be to say, for her to say that, yes, I am going to, I don't think he can serve anymore, and also I will not, if I am nominated, I will not stand to, I will not put myself forward to be the presidential candidate. I do not want to replace Joe Biden. I honestly believe that he just can't serve. But that's not what you did, okay? So it was a real coup. The vice president participated in a coup of the president so that she could be the candidate and possibly president. So that's what is so dishonorable about that whole process, and that it's good that she lost, because as I said, it was just a terrible, dishonorable thing to do, and she deserved to lose just on that basis, and the Democrats deserved to lose just on that. Because this is the second time they've done this, by the way. I talked about this before. I call it the Torelli maneuver. Bob Torelli, he was Robert Torelli, he was very powerful, long-serving senator in New Jersey. Like Menendez, you may have heard, he had to leave the Senate, and he already got convicted. He's going to prison, as far as I know, unless he wins an appeal, for corruption. Well, there were corruption charges against Torelli 3 weeks before it started earlier, but by 3 weeks before the election in New Jersey, it looked like he was going to not be reelected. So he dropped out, and the Democrats put in Frank Lautenberg at the last minute, and the Republicans, they called foul. They said, "Oh, come on, we had this campaign and this election. Now you're switching because your guy is losing. Now you're going to put in another guy," but that's what they did. And the Republicans went to court, and they lost. The New Jersey court, I forget, probably the highest court, Supreme Court, I would guess, said, well, no, it was okay. That was kosher. So Torelli got elected. Now they did the same thing again. I mean, not Torelli, Lautenberg got elected. So now they just did the same thing. And I really condemn this tactic. You put up your candidate, and your candidate wins or your candidate loses. You don't, shortly before the election, put in a new guy, so you have this, the other side, it's not fair to them. They did the opposition research. They've been putting out ads. They've been running a whole campaign geared to a certain opposition candidate, and suddenly they bring in somebody new a month before the election, 2 months before the election, and suddenly they got to completely switch, and all the money that they had been spending has been wasted. I don't think they would be too happy if the Republicans did something like that, which they never have, and I don't think they ever would. But the thing is that when they forced Biden out, now I'm finally getting to the subject of the title, when Biden was forced out, he immediately endorsed or nominated Kamala Harris, and that was it. And then she was a nominee. He didn't have to do that, as I said in an earlier thought. He could have just said, I'm withdrawing from my candidacy, and I rely on the party now, all of you rank and file, to select somebody else, have a quickie primary or whatever. But he just anointed Kamala Harris, and that was it. Because, well, first of all, even if they had primaries, the problem they would have was that black women, Democrats, would stay home, or if this black woman were not the nominee. So that was one consideration, obviously. But I think it was there's another. It's not. Does not originate with me, this theory, but again, I find this theory credible, and just like the coup thought that I gave you a moment ago, that it was his revenge. Okay, you forced me out because you thought I couldn't win, so I'm nominating somebody who I know cannot win. So you lost anyway. Okay, you forced me out. I nominated somebody who would lose. So there you go. Biden's revenge. That's what I very strongly believe could have been the whole situation. That he deliberately nominated her to lose because, well, I mean, he's a Democrat, right? Lifetime Democrat, but on the other hand, he's 80. He's up there, 83, I think now. So he's not going to be around that much long. He's not going to be affected by what happens now with the Trump candidacy. And you could, even if you're a loyal Democrat, what they did, I mean, they didn't show much loyalty to him. So, and again, he was a lifetime Democrat. He was always a stalwart of the party, and this is what they did to him. And I could see how he could turn to them and just say, screw you. And this could have been a whole big screw you. And Democrats and my friends on the left, if you're watching this, I hope you learned from this. You nominate your candidate, you have your primaries, and you select your candidate, and you stick with that candidate, and you don't pull a Torelli maneuver. And that's my thought for today. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Comments always welcome below the comment section below the video. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.